Paris, Colette thought, is killing me. Fridays were always a challenge, but this one was just grueling. The hard-partying customers had no imagination, ordering the same greatest hits. She felt like an animated gif of someone making steak frites. Cut, seared, don't bother to check how the person wants it because it is always medium rare. Salt, done, repeat, repeat, repeat. Outside, she took a deep breath, but had to cut it short before she retched. The piles of refuse in cans and sacks next to them were getting out of control. They had to hire another garbage boy soon. There were only so many times LaRousse would pick the shortest straw for the job before realizing he was being tricked. A rat poked its nose tentatively out from between the bins. Colette's face pulled back in an automatic rictus of disgust. She lifted her foot away, both to avoid any potential contact and to prepare herself for stomping the horrid thing out of existence. That's all the restaurant needed, to lose another star because of rats in the kitchen. But the rat, smaller than most of the ugly vermin that haunted the alleys of Paris, showed no interest in her or her feet. It scampered over to the outside faucet they used to hose down the garbage area and scrubbed its paws assiduously under the drips. Was that normal? Colette frowned, thinking. Some mammals did that sort of thing, right? When it was done, it padded back and forth between the piles of spilled offal, tentatively sniffing the air. There's a whole pile of rotten eggs right there, Colette said archly, pointing. Bon appetit, furry horror. The rat looked up at her, disappointedly. Yes, there was definite disappointment on the rodent's face. Feeling vaguely insulted but curious, Colette watched as it went back to wandering around thoughtfully and sniffing more like a human than a rat. Suddenly, it paused, tail almost straightening in surprise and delight, using its front paws like a human would. It pulled out a rind of rye, and instead of wolfing it down or packing it into cheeks for later, did rats even do that? Colette wasn't sure. It held the rind in a paw and considered it thoughtfully. Seeming to be struck with inspiration, the creature began eagerly searching around until it pulled out the end of a pain corone, a broken-off ball of bread that made a pretty crown if done right, and they always were at Gusto's. Very carefully, almost as if not to get its paws dirty, the rat smeared what little cheese was left on the rind onto the bread, then carefully broke up the rest into little bits and sprinkled it on top like Parmesan. It paused, seeming to admire its handiwork, then frowned as if something wasn't quite right. Colette, you are going mad, Colette admonished herself. You have worked too many late nights, and you are seeing things. The rat nosed around until it found the greens off the ends of some carrots, which made the chef shudder involuntarily. Bitter. She never understood why rabbits loved it, or hipsters. The rodent used the sharp pulled tap from a soda can to delicately slice off the greenest, softest tips of the fronds and place them on the bread and cheese. Finally, satisfied, the rat took a deep sigh and did not devour the impossible sandwich. It looked up into the air next to it in surprise, like a spooked animal. It chittered disconsolately while obviously arguing with, warning off, or being threatened by something only it could see. Rabies? Colette wondered aloud. But it wasn't foaming at the mouth or snarling. It sounded almost like it was pleading. Finally, the rat looked sadly back at its little treat and pushed it away, backing into the garbage pile. Maybe it's trained, Colette thought. Maybe it's a pet rat. Maybe the owner taught it to eat street food in case it's poison. Here, you strange little thing. She reached into the pocket of her jacket and pulled out what was going to be her midnight snack, a simple slop of pâté de champagne with some thinly sliced cornichons wrapped in wax paper, and a tiny jar of the mustard they sold in giant plastic Gusto bottles at the supermercados. She broke off a corner of the pate and, without even thinking, expertly balanced it on a slice of courgette, adding another slice on top at a rakish angle. What was the point of eating if not to eat well, even if you were a rat? She held it out, the rat's eyes widened in surprise. It approached, slowly and cautiously, at the last moment, rising up on its hind legs to take the offering with its paws. Yuck! Colette yanked her hand back, suddenly aware of how close the fetid animal was to her own chef fingertips. The rat, surprised, also jumped backward, but grabbed the pate first. It tumbled over, the morsel clutched to its belly. It immediately righted itself, gave her a salute, and ran into the darkness. Oui, Colette decided. I am going mad.